with the lamp socket. We're creating a lamp here. And we're going to need to have these parts to create the entire lamp. We got lamp wire, I have a switch, I have a plug, and I have a lamp socket. We're going to start with this guy right here. Let's move these guys off to the side. You're also for this going to need 2 or 3 tools. One is going to be a wire stripper / cutter. It will cut 2. You are also probably going to need a Phillips head or a slot screwdriver. Now, first things first is we're going to open this guy up. I'm going to show you all the parts. Move these to the side a little bit. So here's the parts to the lamp socket. So it's open. You can see when it comes out, it's got these 2 little nibs or 2 screws on the end. Find out what those are in a moment. And it's got the socket itself. The socket has a looks like a washer or a lip here that can actually screw down. It's like a bolt. Screws right up on the top of it. Then you've got the innards, which when you open it up, it will show you the insides. It actually has these 2 poles here, copper and silver looking pole here. And then inside, of course, that's where the lamp goes. Now, what's going to happen is this guy's going to actually be living in here, right? And as you can see, this is how these 2 go together, right? And there's these two parts which actually hold the wire, and this will go on top of this, and this goes into here. Okay, so there that is. That's the setup. Okay. Now what we're going to do right now is we've got this lamp wire, and right now I haven't cut it yet or I haven't done anything to it. So I'm going to open this guy up. Open this guy up here. Boom, boom. Yeah, there it goes. So I'm going to take this all apart so I can get this through. Because what's got to happen is there's 2 wires in here, as you can see, and we're going to have to actually wrap them around these 2 poles here. So let me open that up, put that in place over here, put this in place right here. First things first is we know this is going to be at the end, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start to feed the wire through here. So that way it's feeding through. And then we're going to feed the wire through this. And this part here really is about making sure that wire is nice and tight. And this is really tight. So pushing it through, you just try to pull as best you can. And give yourself a little bit of extra. It's always good to have a little extra so that way you can pull back. I just pulled it that much through. As you can see, this is going to fit on top of this. So we'll get to that in a second. So the next thing we're going to do is we need to be able to expose the wire outside, and this is called the insulation, and that's the copper wire inside. So how are we going to do that? Well, first of all, we have to split this in half because there are 2 separate wires for the 2 separate poles. All right. So first things first is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab. You could do it with a razor blade, but I'm going to use these hobby cutters or these little wire cutters here. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of find the middle right there. You see that middle area? That's actually safe to cut into because there's no wire there. So I go ahead and I hit that right there, and I cut that. Now I could cut more if I'd like to. I could use scissors if I'm more comfortable with that, but I'm going to pull it just a little bit more, just so a little bit more is opened up. Now we got a nice little Y going on there. So the next thing we want to do is we want to strip the insulation. And this insulation, there are different values to wires, and they usually go from the higher number is a little smaller, and the lower number is a little bit bigger. And that's the same here. We have as you can see on the end of this wire cutter, we have all these little slots in here. This is the actual cutter here. And it also says cut copper only, and these are copper wires. So you see how it's got 22 gauge, very small. See the little holes in there. There's 18 gauge, 14 gauge, 12, and 10. And this is really close to 10. So it might even be like 8, but I think we'll be able to get away with the 10. So I'm going to go ahead and I take that little slot right there and I pull tight. And when I do that, it kind of breaks the insulation. But then I got to do is I got to spin it a little bit because I'm going all the way around the insulation, and then I pull. Now, once I've pulled, I've exposed that copper wire. And when I expose the copper wire, it's all kind of like loose little strands. See that? So what we want to do is we want to make a nice little tight little bunch. So I can twist it with my fingers, Usually it's not too bad. It won't hurt you. You know, be very careful though. Always be cautious. Now, next thing that's got to happen is this side right here. All right, so we do the same thing there. We take the wire cutters. There's that little bit of insulation that's there. Took a couple little strands of wire. No need to worry about that. I kind of do this. Come in, I cut that. I spin it, right, and I strip. Now it's stripped out. Both of them are stripped. And I turn like this, good, just like that, and like that. Now that's done. Now, we have to go through one more channel, and that's this little hole right here, which is the bottom of the socket, the base of the socket, I guess. And we push it through. There you go. Now, if you notice, we have these two poles here, and we also have in this little area in here, we've got these little slots in there. And those little slots are there for a reason. They match up with these little guides here. And the reason why those guides are there and those slots are there is so that when you push it in, it will keep those two wires separated from each other. And that's very important to note. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull these a little more apart so that I have some area to work with. And now, the next step is to actually attach to the poles. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get my Phillips screwdriver head, because these are both Phillips screwdrivers. And you can always tell a Phillips screwdriver because it's got that type of head right there. See that? It's like this. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, see like two little slots. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loosen up both sides. So I always, I know it's counterclockwise is loosening and clockwise is tightening. Easy way to remember it is, I've always been taught, is righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. It works. And I remember that more than clockwise, counterclockwise. So I was taught that many, many moons ago. So there it is. I'm going to go ahead and open this side up over here. There it is. So now we've got these two sides opened up, right? So now what we're going to do is I'm going to slide this in, but I want to give you a little trick here. We're going to put it right through here like this. We're not going to actually wrap it around. I might want to loosen up a little bit more. Remember, lefty-loosey. There we go. Now, here's the thing. When I put this in, I want to make sure that the wire is on the side that it's going to be tightened. It's going to be around this way. So it's going to be actually wrapped around it clockwise. So now you see it right there. And don't worry if there's a few strands that are not kind of pushing in. You just kind of push them in by hand. It should be okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tighten down that screw real tight. Now it's going to have some fraying. It's okay. We're going to make it work. You try to make it as tight and as clean as possible. Okay, I'm going to try it one more time. Let me get that really in there. So this is really being kind of a little bit of a bear. And you can also solder the ends if you like, but usually this suffices. I'm going to try it this way. So here it goes. Tight it in. Wrap it around. Okay, there we go. Now it's wrapped around. And we're going to tighten that down slowly but surely. So that way we make sure all of that gets in there. Okay, and remember what I told you. As long as it's holding, it's good. You got a lot of good contact on that. And remember, the little sides are going to keep it from, keep them from each other. Now we do the other side. Now here's the key to the other side. We're tightening it this way. Okay, it's going in a circle, counterclockwise. So we want to wrap that wire around it clockwise, right? It tightens clockwise. So we want to wrap the wire around it clockwise. There we go. Now we can tighten it down slowly. Make sure as much wire stays in there as possible. And now that's relatively good. I think we're in good shape there. Now here's the next step. Remember I told you there are slots and there are guides inside. Oh, there, is that better? Yeah. I want to make sure that that thing can focus. There are slots and guides inside. So we're going to find those slots and we're going to line them up. And I'm going to look for them. There I go. I think I got them. You can't put it in otherwise. So now see how nice and tight that is? It goes in, it's tight. Those wires will not meet each other. Will not meet each other inside. So the next thing we do is we come over here, we get this part of the base, put it in. Now we're good. And we put that down. Now this is still loose. This can still come out. Well, a little bit. No, it's kind of held in. That's nice. It's a nice little design there. So now I'm going to pull this tight. We're going to pull. This is where it gets a little bit tricky because this is like really, really, really tight. So we push it through. We keep pushing through. Okay? And then we're going to twist it. We're going to twist it on there. Okay. Okay, there we go. And it's on. See it going right in there? So it tightens in. And then finally, so this looks pretty, and it kind of holds it a little bit even further. See the little grippies? These fingers almost, they come out and they kind of grip it. You pull that in, and then you tighten that down. And that is that. It's all set up. It's ready to go. In the next video, I'll show you how to put in the plug. There you go.